Good evening, everybody. We are coming at you live from the Liminal Pines. I'm Alan. Welcome to today's stream. I have a question for you. Do you like drawing? I have another question for you. Do you like movies? If your answer was yes to both of those, then this is the stream for you, because today we are going to be drawing some portraits from some movies. And if there's anybody in the chat here right now, you might have the chance to influence what movies we're going to be drawing characters from. So without further ado, let's lay out the game plan for tonight's stream. First and foremost, we're going to be doing the introduction to the stream, which, well, looks like we're pretty much done with that. Secondly, we are going to be doing a table of contents for the stream, which I'm doing right now. And then afterwards, say hello to my cat. Afterwards, we are going to be taking a look at the timeline, the editing timeline for my next video, which is currently a work in progress, but it's good progress. So we're gonna get a peek behind the curtains and just see what goes into making one of my amazing videos. And you're gonna see some of the most inefficient editing practices known to mankind. So be warned about that. After that, we are going to pop down, take a look at what I've been drawing over the past 2 weeks. There's some good stuff in here, I swear. Then afterwards, we're going to start drawing on, and of course, as I said before, you might be able to influence what movies we're going to be drawing from. We're going to be pulling some film stills from a website called Film Grab. If you're familiar with that, has lots of movies in its catalog and a lot of stills, so we're definitely going to be able to find something. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we're going to be doing here today. This is going to be a very long stream. We're going to find I find ways to make these streams very long. So I'm not going to say this is going to be a short stream. I want to keep it on the shorter end. We're like an hour and a half is what I'm aiming for. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on the time, definitely. And you know how we're going to do that? We're going to do that by getting right into the action. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull up our editing software here. I am a user. Breaking Bad reference. I am a user of a free editing software. Good Lord, I turned it off. I'm a user of a free editing software called DaVinci Resolve. We're gonna squeeze these little goofballs together. Beautiful. I'm a little square down here. Hello, say hello to me. I am the little square down here. So yeah, I'm a user of a little editing software called DaVinci Resolve, and this is a free editing software that anybody can access at any point for free. There's a paid studio version that has more features, but what I'm going to show you here is all from the free version. And let me just tell you, it might look very complicated. It's really not. Like when you're getting into anything, it sort of can be a bit foreboding with the amount of things that you're going to have to learn, but I can guarantee you with this editing software in particular, it's really not that bad. I'm gonna raise my desk up here a little bit. Do I look shorter? Yeah, you can see me a bit. I'm gonna put my headphones on just so we can, there's audio. This is an audio visual experience anyways. What I love about these headphones is that they don't automatically connect to my computer. They automatically connect to my phone, which is my camera. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's do a cheeky little peek through of the editing software. So it might look like a lot, but it really isn't. It really, really isn't. So let me, I guess, before we start flipping through and like doing a bunch of like crazy stuff, let me tell you about my pipeline for making videos or making these sort of uh, essay style videos. First off, I start with playing a game, watching a movie, reading a book. Uh, Even though I don't have too many essays on this channel, that is the what is going to be the workflow from here on out. So I'll experience a piece of media, and then I decide whether or not my feelings on that piece of media are profound enough that I have something that I want to talk about. So for context, this video right here is over a video game titled The Last Guardian. So you can see sort of, where's a good still to have it on right here. This video is over The Last Guardian. So this is a game that I quite enjoy a lot. So much so that I wrote an entire essay about environmental storytelling, environmental design, environmental artistry, what have you. And so I play the game, I do an outline for a script, and then, of course, I write the script. I go through a writing process, and then I edit that down to be more refined. But the goal is to have something that I can read out loud, because there is actual voiceover in this video. And I'm a procrastinator, so this can take a long time. It should not take as long as it takes for me to do it, but Lord, I am a procrastinator, so it takes a minute for me to write these scripts. Hopefully I'll get the flow better in the future. So then I'll go ahead and I'll write the script, I'll get footage recording for whatever it is that I'm doing, and then I'll go ahead, and you can see that in here. I have it all brought into my editing software. This is the entire game, by the way, that I have recorded here. I have it separated through play session. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I had to re-record some stuff, so it's sort of sectioned out differently. So then I get all my gameplay recording, and in the script I sort of have an idea of what it is I'm going to use while I am doing. I kind of know what clips I'm going to use when I'm doing it in mind, so that's a in the brain thing. I could write it out. I have in the past. Sometimes I don't. So that's really, it depends how I'm feeling at the time. Lizard Wizard, I remember you. You're in the Discord, and you comment, and you still leave comments at the beginning of every stream if you're not able to make it. Yes, I remember you. You're just in time to see the editing. We're not going to be doing any editing, but I am just kind of like giving an overview. I was planning on doing a bit of editing, but I felt like that would, people are here for the art, maybe. So I wanted to draw as much as possible this stream, so we're doing that here. But yeah, so I go ahead and I get my Modelios together, and then I go ahead and DaVinci Resolve has this very neat little feature. In here. It is a voiceover feature, and I have it right here. It used to be you had to go to the Fairlight page here, and you had to patch a microphone and then record your audio in here, but it's not very intuitive here. But they added it so you could do it on the timeline. So I can record sections at a time, see it play out, delete it, edit it all very, very, very quickly. It is crazy efficient. You can see on my microphone here, I have some dialogue, EQ, compressor, blah, blah, blahs. Audio is hard, and I've been having to learn how audio works with editing videos. But we have all those effects on my voiceover clips here. So I record it, and then I bring in the gameplay snippets that I like. I have music chosen, which I actually have recorded through a screen recording on my phone, because for some reason this album for this game is not available for purchase. So I had to do some, I don't want to be downloading random files from the internet, so that's why I didn't just like download them from a sketchy website. So then, yeah, we bring it all together, And then I play around with the volume. There's a lot of mixing stuff that goes on here that I'm still tuning. Like I have to mess with the volume and then the overall gain of the stuff. We got to worry about the overall mix, how loud my voice is, and we also have to worry about loudness, which is something that YouTube is picky about. My goal is to have the video to be loud enough that if you have your phone microphone on and you have it at half volume, you're able to hear it clearly. So that's sort of what I'm going for. So yeah, you can see here, I'll play a little bit of a snippet. If you want to see my script or you want to see a pre-edited section for this introduction here, it's like the first couple of minutes, head on over to the Discord, which will be linked in the description of the stream, probably after the stream is over with. I don't think I added it in there, sorry. But head on over to the Discord and you can get a sneak peek of what I edited right here. And it's changed since then because the editing process is quite fluid. So everything is subject to change, but you can sort of see what it was before and what it's going to be after. And you can see my script that I edited in real time on there as well. So please go join the Discord. I'll play a little snippet of the stream here so you can sort of see how everything goes together. Keep in mind the mixing, not perfect. I still needed to tune it. The thing is that my headphones are a little bit better than most audio devices. I'm not meaning that as a flex, but what I mean by that is when I'm mixing, these have certain audio ranges that not all speakers have, so I need to mix for as many different things as possible. So I mix at first with my headphones on for the audio, and then I have to sort of take them off, listen to it through a normal speaker, try it with my AirPods, and sort of play around and get a healthy middle there. Is there an easier way to do it? Probably, but I'm learning. I am learning. So I'll play you a little bit of a snippet here. Okay, Lizard. Sorry, I'm just not reading your comment here. You're so busy. Yeah, I feel that way. That's why I'm streaming every other week, because I feel like I'm just so busy. But thank you, Lizard, and I appreciate you put some stuff in the Discord. That was all fantastic. It's really great to see another artist making progress in their work, and you've provided a lot of valuable insight for me and for others as well. So, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it dearly. And I'll play a little bit of a snippet here. Is it going to be, if it's too loud, I'm sorry, I'll be quiet so you can, if it's too loud, you can turn it up or down, but. And we have to look at how The Last Guardian cleverly uses its environment not just as a backdrop, but as a conduit for retrospection and meaning. It's about companionship. It's about struggle. It's about the wordless stories of a time long forgotten. Directed by Fumito Ueda and developed by Gen Design, formerly known as Team Ico, The Last Guardian takes place in an abandoned world nested in antiquity. Time has all but erased the purpose of its impossibly intricate and beautiful architecture. You play as a young boy who, by circumstance, must escape the ruins with the help of a mythical creature. And this is all the game gives you. The Valley, also known as the Nest, is an intricate area designed for the player to traverse along with Trico. What stands out is how the entire map maintains a sense of environmental continuity. From many points, you can see large swaths of the valley, including places you've been through on your journey to the top. I'll go ahead and pause it there. So yeah, you can sort of see how it is. And so I'm not the biggest fan of my voice for a number of reasons. So I listen to that and I think I sound awful and I sound stupid. But I kind of have to look past that and sort of do my best with what I've got. You can sort of see here that I've been trying out some new editing techniques in this video for pacing's sake to sort of break things up. In between paragraphs and sections, I've decided to use sort of gaps at these gaps to just have pure gameplay that doesn't have me talking over it. And of course, this relates to what I'm talking about, but it's sort of moments of excitement, what have you. But it's also a great, it's a great opportunity to, if you see down here, in these gaps, I switch over from one music track to another. So I'm sort of using these moments where we have gameplay to sort of act as good transitions. And I don't know if you can see the volumes here, but I need to like pull this up a little bit so you can see it a bit better. My cat is trying to sit with me. You see, you weren't able to see that here. This is the gameplay footage, but you can also see that some of the there's a lot of fading going on and mixing of volumes, but you can see that we have the volume for this clip right here, or the audio for this clip right here, start a little bit before, so you sort of get a clue into the clip that's about to come next, and then it fades out. Again, I'm trying to do that. I think it's kind of fun to do because it feels very like natural, but it also feels like it's a good like way to transition into the clip, so it's just not a cold cut into the clip. You can see here with the audio bar, sometimes my P's pop and my S's S, and that's just an issue with my microphone. There's de-essers and stuff that I need to play around with, but I think just by virtue of the equipment that I have, the audio is never going to be completely perfect. If you have any suggestions, please drop those in the comments, but I think I have it nicely fine-tuned. But yeah, so the main thing with this video is I'm focusing on, of course, my script. I mean, like, obviously, but I'm also focusing on things like editing and pacing. I'm playing around a little bit more with what I can do, integrating sort of moments from the game with things that I'm saying. How can I let sort of silence guide the pacing of the video, or silence of myself, but like how can I have that guide the pacing of the video? And so you'll sort of see that come to fruition whenever this video is out. Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. If you have any questions about video editing, please. I'm always open to talking about it, sharing what I've learned. DaVinci Resolve. It looks daunting. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of pages. There's a lot of things you can use here, and I've used a bit of them. Some I haven't used at all. There's a lot of pages. There's a media tab. There's a rough edit tab. There's a fusion tab for video effects. There's a color correction tab, and I do have these color corrected slightly because sometimes stuff comes in and it's not the way it's supposed to look, so we got to do some color correction there. There's also the Fairlight tab. You saw this. This is all of your audio. You have a little export tab. This is how we sort of export our videos to an MP4 file format for posting on YouTube, because that's the most efficient way to upload videos. But yeah, so I think that's all I really need to show you here. I think I actually need to do something I forgot to do yesterday, and I believe, yeah, I forgot that I need to color correct these bits. So we'll go ahead, if you Control C, and then I'm going to, I believe it starts here. I don't know exactly. Later. We'll just go ahead and do that for all of it. And we're gonna Alt V it, and we're just gonna paste the video attributes, and that includes color correction. and cropping and such. So that should make these a bit more vibrant, should change the exposure slightly. So yeah, you can already see how things are looking just a bit more vibrant than they did before.
In that sense,
the contrast is up slightly, and that's the big thing, is that for some reason the contrast was popped down really low compared to the raw footage, and I just don't know what DaVinci has something to do with the file type. The way it compresses, decompresses, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, that's looking a lot better. So yeah, we got about 8 minutes of that video done. Currently, the video is looking to be around 15 to 20 minutes. And I'm happy to share that all with you whenever it's out. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. My name is Alan. And I cannot stress that enough. My name is Alan. Liminal Pines is not my birth name. It's not my God-given name. So yeah, we're going to hopefully when I close that, it's not gonna corrupt or anything. If it does, I'm sure there's a backup on there. Okay, so we are doing good on time. We're gonna pop up and we're gonna take a look at our sketchbook. If that's all right with all of you. We're gonna reset the transform. And I'm talking out loud. Let's get you guys a border. I could make presets of all of these things, so I don't have to manually do it each time. But where's the fun in that, right? Where's the fun in that? Let's take a look at the sketchbook so I can show you guys what I have been working on, and I think you will all be pleasantly surprised that I do draw in my free time. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm looking like a rat more and more as time goes on. Deeply sorry for that. I've been looking for a cure to the rat illness, but for some reason there just isn't. There has not been one. I'm gonna pop our camera down. There. Boom, you can see my draws. See what kind of draws I got on. We're gonna be doing a little bit of a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. And is that perfect? No, but big head, you literally cannot tell me that. That is actually illegal. You are not allowed to tell me that. That's decided here first. Okay, we're not going to bore you with a full sketchbook tour that's reserved for the shorts and such. Freakazoid, you are a freakazoid. We're going to show off what I've been working on. So this is going back to, we're starting at September 14th. And of course, I've been working on this one for since August, around mid-August. But yeah, big part of this sketchbook is working on forms. How do we depict form? Contour lines, cross contours, using line thickness to show, like, sort of, I think using like thicker lines for outlines is very fun. It feels graphic, and it sort of, I don't want things to be too realistic. I want to depict form, but I don't want to depict things like ultra realistically. I think that there's a good middle line here. We have this right here, which is a thumbnail for, I can show you that too. We have I'm doing a larger piece. And that was my little thumbnail sketch for how I'm going to do it. But this is what I have currently. We're doing it on tracing paper because I'm going to use my light pad to transfer this onto another another sheet of paper, because this is kind of rough still. We're going to refine it a bit more for the finished piece. But this is what I'm working on right now. And I drew a grid, and I got the ink and everything, and we're working on values. I'm probably going to have some vertical hatching here for the sky behind it to sort of do like a light dark. But yeah, that is what I have so far. I gotta put this back. Got to put this back momentarily. Please sound off in the comments if you like houses. Ugh. This is a Takiko Inoue study looking at hatching. Here's two original portraits done juste à moi. They're not perfect, and I really was again just playing around with hatching. Not perfect, but we're looking at hatching direction. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just sort of toying around with different techniques. We have just a very gestural looking full body portrait here. We have another Inoue study, not perfect as far as the perspective goes, but again, we're looking at hatching, sort of seeing what Inoue does here to achieve his art style. We have some more form studies. This can right here, I was looking at the sketchbook the other day and I was like, damn, that can is really cool. I'm going to find a way to turn this into a sticker. Okay, like if I ever start doing online sales through Etsy or something, I wanna have this as a sticker. Maybe as a free like inclusion, or maybe you could buy it separately. I don't know, but we're gonna find a way to turn this into a sticker. And you mark my word, because I really do like the way this can turned out. Maybe I'll do it larger. You know, like maybe I'll replicate it a bit larger, so we can get a better scan of it or something. Here we have another Inoue study. I don't know why my cat meowed. He's kind of just laying on the ground. We have another Inoue study. This is a female character, so of course he depicts the lines to be a bit fairer. The tapering is a bit more, feels very flowy, you know, so I was trying to capture that. Make a toy called Kick a Can, and it's just a can that's on the ground that you kick. Here's another, speaking of cans, here's another can right here. Sort of just using hatching to show the form there. Here we have a full body portrait. This is a guy climbing a building. Not really paying attention to anything crazy except for where do I put my darks? How do I'm trying to figure out like my dark block, my value blocking. So I was playing around with that there. I can have that be the cover. The toy is called Kick a Can, and the cover is a drawing of a crushed can. Here is a portrait, an original portrait of a actor from Japanese samurai films. His name is Toshiro Mifune. This is from Seven Samurai. Here we have just some, I don't even know what you would call these, urns, little urns and such. It's pretty fun, right? Bring my desk up a bit so I don't hurt my back. Here we have, this is Yang from Sifu. Portrait of him. Here we have a sort of another, it's like a half body, waist up portrait of Yang. Not perfect, but I like the gesture. I like the flow of this one. I want to get better at doing like full body portraits. I like doing close-ups, but also full bodies are fun to do. Here we have some more sort of just like shapes kind of doodling around. Are these like tires or something? I don't know. They look deflated. Sort of. I think tires look so cool, especially in like if you look at animated films, like in Ghibli films or something. It's like they make the tires look so round and bubbly, and they're like squishy. They're not like that in real life. I guess on a microscopic level, they probably are, but I like that a lot. So if I ever draw cars, give them like big, puffy wheels. It's another portrait. Don't care too much about the style on this one. I was really just drawing a portrait. There's another one from Drive. The values are just suck. Like I don't really like this one. The values are kind of awful, and it's just because I didn't really feel like hatching the entire thing. That would have just taken too much ink out, too much time. Here we have here's an Inoue study. This one's really fun to do. And here's one of the things I learned with Inoue is that, you know, he has his outlines, his black outlines, and he loves them, and he'll throw in some line variety like down here, you know, he'll like thicken some lines up a little bit. But when it comes to every little facial feature, he doesn't resort to really thick lines for every facial feature. He'll sort of let those soft edges uh, be just hatching, and so they sort of they have a terminator, right? They have a place where they terminate, but they aren't harsh at all, and I admire that a lot. But of course, like you'll have dark lines for the eyes and for the lips and everything, but it's like those are reserved for like the hardest of hard edges or things where you want to focus on. So it's like we want to focus on the eyes, use a hard edge there. But for the rest of the face, you don't really need crazy thick lines. You can sort of use the hatching to define it a little. So here was my sort of like interpretation of that. This is from Lion, which is a French film, but I was trying to use some of the things I learned in this portrait right here. Succeeded in some ways, failed in others, but I think for the most part, I think it turned out pretty good. The one thing that I wish I would have done differently is the eye right here, because his head is sort of at a profile, but it's also turned slightly to his right. You can see that because you see the bottom of his chin here where that shadow is. You're seeing the underneath, the underplane of his chin. His eye, because it's facing a bit away from the camera, should have been more crescent shaped upwards like this to show that it's tilted away from us. That's my bad. I should have caught that in the sketch phase, but that is what it is. What I'm quite happy about with this sketch is I feel like I killed it with the hand. Hands are so hard to draw, so whenever you get it right, it just feels so good. And I think everything that I did here with the line weight and the hatching and even the gun just feels so satisfying. And I'm very, very, very happy with it. So if there's anything that I like about this sketch, it is this entire bit of it right here. Here we have, this is kind of like a vomit page. We're drawing things like milk cartons. We got paper clips. We got bottle caps. We have little plugs. We have acorns. We got skulls. We got a fire hydrant. And yeah, there's no direction, but I guess the overall theme is just forms and kind of just showing off how do we do those things, and playing around with things like line weight, skipping lines, using thicker lines, skipping some lines and using thicker lines in different places. We have a portrait. This is from Speed, I believe. This is Sandra Bullock. I think, is it Sandra Bullock in that movie? I really can't remember. But this is a portrait from that right there. And I'm playing around with different ways to draw eyes specifically. I have a vision of the way that I want to stylize eyes, but I don't think I'm quite able to capture it just yet. And I'm getting there, but it's like I'll be there eventually, and it's fun. These are freehand portraits, hence why some of them look really wonky with the proportions. This one's fun, but then that one's like too narrow and long. I know this is a tendency of mine, because I've always had it, but I draw noses too big. I make my noses too big, so I just need to, whenever I catch myself making big noses, I'm like, could this be 3/4 of the size? Yeah, most likely. It could be. Here we have some more. This is all freehand as well. Nothing really crazy to talk about here. I like the angle of this, and I like the way I did the lips. And I like how I sort of, the brow ridge, I think that's very nice. Here we have this is a plein air sketch, because I do that sometimes. This is of like a tree that I was looking at while I was eating lunch outside one day, and sort of I was trying to mess around. It's not completely accurate to how the tree actually looked, but I didn't care. I was playing around with sort of doing these it's like you have these bunches of branches, right? But it's also you have these thick wads of leaves. So I wanted to have those in contrast to maybe darker wads of leaves that would be in the background of the tree, and sort of some of these wads have some shading underneath that show the sunlight. So we're trying to make them look like little clouds that are sprinkled along the canopy of the tree. Here we have, this is Timothy Chalamet from Wonka. That's why it says the man who willied his Wonka on there. What? Who's up Who's up Willieing they Wonka right now? Please comment if you're up Willieing your Wonka right now. Yeah. And that leads us to what I was doing earlier today. I was playing around with this new app that I downloaded. Proko, the YouTube channel, has a new perspective app called Zolly, Zolly. And in that app, you have to pay for a bunch of things in it, but there's some free 3-dimensional objects, simple objects that you can play around with, move around, and you can change sort of the focal length, how close you are to the object. So you can sort of get a feel for different kinds of perspective manually by like moving it around and changing the sliders. And I was messing around with a cylinder today, and so I was sort of changing the horizon line. I was changing what angle I was looking at it from. I was changing the focal length, things like that. I was also playing around with. I saw this in the Discord. I shared it, but I saw this short today where it was talking about the core shadows, and it's like one simple thing you could do to sort of elevate your black and white drawings is just adding just a very faint sort of smudged core shadow to indicate form. And I thought, that's brilliant. I never could find a way to communicate what I like about sort of drawings like that, but definitely a lot of it is sort of in that core shadow, and it doesn't look crazy here, but like I'm sure you could look up sort of references that would demonstrate this better. But I was using cross-hatching here because that would sort of be like less defined than a line, kind of like with the Inoue study you could see, but sort of doing some light hatching. And what a core shadow is oh dear, it's sort of when you have like think of whenever you have like a sphere that's illuminated from the top, you got the shadow below it. It's like the entire bottom is in shadow, right? But because the surface below catches light and bounces it back up, it sort of lightens the dark area of the bottom of the form a little bit. I don't think I have an example of it in here anywhere. No, not really. But what the core shadow is the part that sort of like doesn't really get bounce lighted. And it'll be called like the core shadow, where I think it's also called the terminating shadow, but it'll be your darkest shadow within a shadow. So what this is doing here is you're just doing the core shadow. You're not doing any of the bounce light shadow over here. You're just doing the core shadow, that terminator. And so that's helping to show form a little. I hope that makes sense. I'm not the best at describing things. And then that's where we're ending right there. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, technically 8. This is kind of page. We got 8 pages left in the sketchbook until we move on to our next one, which is going to be an anatomy sketchbook. I'm going to do 3 self-portraits in this one in sort of Kim Jong-gi's style, one in Peter Han's style, and one in Takehiko Inoue's style. And sort of maybe showcase a couple of the things that I've learned. So yeah, thank you for taking a look at what I've been sketching in here. It's been amazing. And that leaves us with doing the actual thing that I said that we were going to be doing today, and that is drawing. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go pee real quick because I really gotta pee. But when we come back, we're going to find some reference images for what we're going to be drawing today. But we're going to be doing some warm-ups on this paper right here, because I feel like I don't showcase the warm-up process very often, and I feel like it needs some representation here. So it's like, okay, what are some things you can do to warm up whenever you are drawing? So yeah, I'm gonna go and use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. Hold in there. All right, we are back. Let's do a little bit of warming up. Here I just have it's like a lead holder, I guess is what you would call it. It sort of pops out like a mechanical pencil, but I'm using 2B lead for this right here because you don't really need crazy hard lead when you're working with like newspaper in here. Sometimes I use my newspaper print for warm-ups because it's cheap, it's big, and it's really good for graphite. So what are some things that we could do? What are some things that I do for warming up? One thing that I like to do a lot is whenever I'm doing with like lines, I like to sort of, this can take up a lot of space, so you don't need to do it all the time, but I like to pop 2 points, and I like to draw a line in between them. It sort of gets me in the mindset for sort of drawing lines. You can do it fast, you can do it slow. This isn't anything that's crazy like technical or anything, but it's like gets you in the feel for drawing, sort of thinking about trajectories. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I'll do this. I'll go ahead and I'll do some you can do S curves. So sometimes I do this, sort of getting a flow down, doing different varieties of S curves. Sometimes I'll do that. You can do it sort of backwards, different ways. Really what we're doing is drawing lines, and we're getting ideas for flow. You can sort of taper them off in different ways. You can do little flicking motions. We're really just trying to get a feel for like the drawing here. You can do like C's. Seeing some people do C's. Could be crazy, and you can sort of put 2 points and try and get the trajectory down in different ways. Maybe you can throw a point up here that I want to hit, so I go. See, I didn't even do that, right? So it's sort of, you can go over it. Again, you can do all these sorts of things. Another thing that you can do, and this is a bit harder because it sucks, but we're gonna just draw a plane that's in space. We're gonna do an X for our center. We're gonna just draw an ellipsis in there. And this can be very tedious and annoying, but it sort of gets us in the mindset for drawing sort of half circles, because there's a very particular way that you're supposed to draw half circles. You can do it fast, you can do it slow, you can do it poorly like me, or you can do it anyway. I've filled entire pages with sort of this whole ellipsis thing before, but it's always good to practice difficult shapes, you know? So you want every point to sort of, you want your circle to touch every midpoint of the plane, right? You can do it over here, I guess. We're doing it in a bunch of different orientations because ellipses can be done that way, but it's sort of find our center line, then you can find the halfway point from there, but we want our circle, our ellipses, to touch each of these points, because that's how ellipses work. You can do that. It's a very fun one to do, and it's like the more you do it, the more you get used to it. And it can be rough sometimes having to try and get it right, but I think it's good practice. Like that right there. Here's one warm-up that I absolutely love to do, because I work with pen a lot. I say again because I've talked about it once. I work with pen a lot, so what I like to do is this right here. I like to get a ruler like this, and I like to draw lines like this right here. And I'm crazy. We all know this. But what I'll do here is I'll just go through and I'll do this. I will just hatch. You can do it slow, you can do it fast, you can do it sort of thicker bits, or you could, after you do the thicker bits, you can go in and sort of do the intermediary thinner hatching. But the idea is that you're hitting these points. That's as far as your hatching goes, right? So you can sort of play around with your hatching, and this is going to get you used to like control of your pen or pencil or brush or anything really. And the same thing goes for this right here. You can go in and do it slow, or you could go fast. See, it's a little sloppy there when you go fast, so you can be a bit more slow and deliberate. Or I could go in and it's not really a fine point here, but go in and sort of do it fast. You can do it slow, you can do it thick, you can do it thin, you do it fast. But what we're focusing on is we're focusing on control and we're focusing on clean hatching. That's what we're trying to get good at. And but like this is a warm-up as well, so it's like don't aim for perfection, but aim for, I don't know, something else. Another thing I like to do whenever I draw lines like this right here is I love to do kind of what we were doing with the ellipses here, but I like doing it with circles. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to go in and sort of ghost out a circle, and we're just going to draw circles using these lines, the last circle as our sort of terminating point, and the top and bottom, and we're just trying to draw some perfect circles. This is getting us used to things like ghosting, sort of doing like light full arm movements. You know, we're moving from the elbow and the shoulder, not so much from the wrist. Same thing for these right here. These smaller ones we can do is tiny circles. It's not going to be perfect, but once we feel like we have that circle, that trajectory, we're going to go ahead and just pop it down. Doesn't matter if it's perfect, but we're getting used to sort of that movement. That's what we're doing there. And sometimes when I have this down, what I like to do is I like to, this is like crazy because it's like stupid. It's crazy stupid, but what I like to do is, bring this up a little bit. I like to do kind of what we were doing here with the hatching, and I'll do that within the circle. I'm kind of like using the paper real estate efficiently. I'll kind of do what we were doing here with the hatching, and I'll just go in and sort of do the outer edges of the circle. And of course, the lines sort of come in a bit, so you have to pay attention to where your sort of line, your terminating line is going to be. So here it starts really thin, then it gets thicker, and then it gets thin again. You're planning for that sort of dynamicism that often you'll get with hatching. Sometimes there's no straight lines in the piece that you're going to be working on. There you can do it slow, more methodical. I'm not focusing on using the wrist a lot. You'll sort of see me work from the elbow a lot. It's to combat wrist pain, because that could be a real issue among us artists. I could do the same down here, but that's going to be that's going to be a whole lot of just like straight up like shading because of, you know, because it's not very sharp here. Well, we're going to go ahead and here's another thing I like to do. We're going to do kind of the same thing, but we're going to angle our line a little bit. And you could go in here and you could do the same thing with your hatching. You could sort of slow, or we could go fast. We can do it thick, we could do it thin, we could do it hard or not. Another thing I like to do is you can do the circle again. But because your lines are sort of squashed a little bit, you're kind of doing what you were doing here. You know what I mean? You're going to have a squash side of the circle. So you're doing a little bit of ellipses, and it'll show more that we get in here, but yeah, we got that going right there. And another thing you can do if you're looking for more page real estate so you're not wasting too much paper is you can also go in and you can hatch your circles as well. And then play like on the little board, I can go ahead and if I want to practice a bit more, I can go ahead and I can cross hatch these circles as well. I filled entire pages of sketchbooks doing things like this, and especially like these are all fun and fine, but like I like hatching a lot, so like when I'm practicing my hatching, I like this is a good way to practice it. That is very efficient. A very efficient use of your time and your paper. So please try this out if you ever feel like you just need something to draw. Maybe you don't feel like drawing something in particular, but like you want to draw. This is a good thing to warm up. Or you can just do this for your entire drawing session. It really doesn't matter. You're still developing skills because what we're trying to do is we're trying to find things that are both economical for the page, but also for learning. So it's like, this is honing a very specific skill, which is hatching and line control, so on and so forth. And then you can just play around with the rest, everything. You can sort of play around with sort of making dynamic shapes and chunks using sort of different sort of creating a flowy line. You can do a lot of things. You're in here we're going to be using our sort of C and S curves and straight lines and sort of throw in an S curve. Draw a big straight line here, sort of like a straight. This is a very good way to sort of like get sort of warmed up for like gesture drawing, because when you're working with sort of like gesture, you're working with lots of like lines of action, so you can sort of like do a lot of like really crazy things with sort of drawing like people, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can really start to mess around with like gesture whenever you're doing this. But like all of these things, the big thing is that you're like getting your pencil on the page and you're getting your muscles warmed up, you're getting your artist eye trained, and you're getting sort of, it's like if you're working out, you work with lighter weights during your warm-up sets so you can be a bit lubricated for your larger sets where you're doing some of the heavier lifting, and those heavier sets become just that much easier because you're warmed up. So we're going to conclude our warm-up session. Sometimes you can do a warm-up session for 5 minutes, you can do 10 minutes, you can do 15 minutes. It really doesn't matter. I'm not going to throw this paper away because there's still the backside that could be used, so I'm just going to go ahead and fold it up, stick it away to be used later. I don't really know where to put it right now. We'll fold it another time. Okay, who's ready to draw? Who's ready to draw some portraits? Hey, me. You've been rambling this entire time. I think we should use this sketchbook. Use this sketchbook just because it has a lot of empty pages. Some useful empty pages in it. One's a bit dirty. Use this one right here. It'll give us a big enough area to sort of do some sketching on. And kind of also just to show that you can have different sketchbooks for different purposes. It doesn't matter. Whatever you're comfortable with. My pencil case. Pencil/pen case. We're going to pull out our hard pencil sharpener so I can sharpen it a little bit. We're going to pull out our kneaded eraser. Pull out an actual eraser. I need to get a new one. This one's ground to a nub. And we're not going to choose our pens quite yet, but I'm going to pull out an ergonomic grip for my pencil so I don't have to squeeze it too tightly. We're going to pop that. This sort of lets me know that I don't need to hold the pencil way up here, which I have a tendency to do. It lets me know that like it's okay to have the pencil up here a little bit so you can sort of get that flow. Use your entire arm whenever you're sketching. I'm gonna go do this over a trash can real quick. Oh dear. Okay, let's if there even is anybody in the chat right now, I really don't know if there is. If there is anybody in the chat, please let me know what's a movie that you would like to see me draw a character from. I'm gonna pull up Film Grab. I'm gonna see if I can find it. Oh, wait a minute. If not, if we can't find anybody, then I will just choose one myself. I'll probably hit the randomize button and pick out something from a random film. Thinking of, what am I thinking of? I think I already talked about it, but I recently watched all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and they sort of like get worse and worse as they go on. Surprisingly, the last one isn't as bad as I remember it being, which is very odd. Because I remember it being worse, but I mean, honestly, I'm not. I can't say I'm disappointed. I also recently rewatched Annihilation, which is a sort of like a stalker like film. Rewatched it here recently, and also not as good as I remember it being. It's got some like really cool concepts, but just the pacing and the script kind of just stinks. It's got really cool high concept vibes, but kind of like Stalker, it just like fails in the execution in a lot of ways. So Annihilation, Alex Garland, you almost made a really good movie. Like, you had like the pieces there, but just kind of failed in a lot of ways, especially with the characters. A lot of them are just very flat, one note. Main character's cool, has some stuff pulling at her, but the rest of them are kind of very just kind of generic, and sort of they try and make it very poignant by explaining like what each of them represent, but it just does not work. It does not work for me whatsoever. All right, no one's popped into the chat yet to say if they have a specific movie, so we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna pull up. I'm gonna go through and flip on random here, and I'm going to find a film that I recognize, and then I'm going to find a character portrait from said film that I feel like drawing. And if this is anything like anytime I do this, it takes a long while for me to find a film that I recognize. There are a lot of movies I have not seen, as evidenced by my random flipping through Film Grab. Lots of black and white films. Like The Monster Squad from 1987? Who? What movie is this? Who directed this? Who starred in this? I don't know. Ah, Jacob's Ladder. I haven't seen this movie. but I want to watch it. Don't recognize this one. Abigail? Haven't seen it. Meshes of the Afternoon? Haven't seen it. Take Me Away? Haven't seen it. The Abominable Dr. Phoebes? Haven't seen it. Tom at the Farm? Have not seen it. Gentleman Broncos? Looks like a space movie. Haven't seen it. The Fifth Element. I actually have not seen The Fifth Element, believe it or not. 3,000 Years of Longing. It's a recent one. Alien Romulus. Oh, this is actually a legendary pull. I think Alien Romulus is such a good movie. Alien fans probably hate that I just said that. But I'm gonna be real. So much about Alien Romulus. I love and I appreciate and I just want more of. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do a little bit of, we're gonna do a cheeky Alien Romulus. Oh yeah, I guess I did recently, I did watch the Alien TV show that they had on. Hopefully that doesn't mess up my thing. Yeah. The show really is not all that awful. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Yeah, Alien Earth has a really cool premise. It kind of fails in execution a little. I think it sort of peters out as it goes on. It kind of doesn't really, I feel like it doesn't really know what it is that it wants to be, which heck, I don't know what I want to be sometimes, and that's fine. But I still think it's filmed well, and I think the score is really cool, and I think the idea of the characters is really neat, and I want to see more of them, hopefully in a second season with a bigger budget and just some more time to flesh these characters out, because they have a very cool sort of introduction, what they are. Just need a little bit more, I think. Okay, here's the screenshot I got. But I really want the character on the right, who I believe his name is Andy. He's an android in the movie. So he's not a human. He is a synthetic human. But I think he would be a good subject to draw. Let's go ahead and get started. We got our knead eraser that I've been goofing around with, and I got my pencil here. We're gonna be trying to do this a little bit bigger than maybe what I normally would in my sketchbook. I'm gonna make sure I got this like center here, sort of leaving a bit of headspace because of just how the camera is working right here, but sort of. Doing just a little sort of like a light preliminary sketch, kind of just getting the blocking down for everything. I'll just go in and block in the table here, I guess, since that's kind of what we're doing. Main focus isn't on the table, so of course we're not going to be doing anything crazy here. It's got a brow line, got an eye line. Then halfway between that is going to be like our nose. And we got sort of mouth right here. Of course, the halfway point is more like right here. So nose is going to be more like right there. I think. We sort of got his hand right here, and he's doing, you know, he's got like sort of kind of looks like I'm doing like two like really big nostrils. I'm not. His hand is like right here-ish. Where it comes down. I'm not trying to do anything crazy here. We'll go ahead and we'll blocking his eyes. Interesting. An interesting reference because we can sort of play around with the, we can do like show how we do the expressions. Bridge of his nose comes down like right here, and that sort of comes out. He has a bit of a broader nose, and it's not as long, but sort of show off. Still like figuring out ways I like to draw eyes. I don't feel like I have it like to like I want them to be like bigger and like a bit more expressive, you know? He doesn't have very pronounced cheekbones, so we're gonna keep those kind of. We're gonna keep him a little bit lower. He does have interesting opportunity to draw a little bit of. He does have a pretty pronounced brow line though. Or imagine like the side plane of the face being right here. We would have his ear, just like generally kind of right there. Style it a bit, sort of break it into some chunks. One thing I like that's interesting with like doing lips is that sometimes it's very hard to sort of can be very hard to what's the word? It's like what level of like detail do you use? So I kind of choose to do a bit more like less detail, or at least that's what I want to do. That's going to be our like core shadow. We're going to try and do that here. Sort of. This stupid my cat hair is like all over everything. We got his fingers here. Are we gonna we're gonna be too detailed with the fingers? No. I could spend a lot of time here sort of like trying to like get these fingers to be like very right, but we're gonna work somewhat faster with the fingers in the hand here. We got sort of that's our front plane, and then we got our hand plane. And we got our maybe it's a bit lower than that. You know what? It's like we know I gotta do it like very perfect, so we'll just go ahead and draw that right there. I guess it's like kind of weird to imagine his jaw like right there. His fingers sort of right there. His fingers up here, which is sort of an interesting silhouette against everything. You know what? I could get the spacing of this a little bit better, I think. It's my bad. It sort of goes, his one finger is up here. It's more like he's sort of like along his chin, right? It's a bit more down like that right there. So we're looking at sort of like this. What's interesting about this right here is that his fingers sort of, they're gonna like meld together a little bit, so we don't have to draw each finger individually. We can sort of bring it down a little. It sort of curls up right here, and it sort of comes down to, we got shadow right there. So kind of goes a bit like that right there. Not perfect, but it'll have to do for now. When we ink it, it'll sort of maybe look a bit better, but I'm not too worried about it. You know, his sort of, his arm comes down right here, and it pops up a little bit. It's his elbow. Sort of comes up right there. Clothes aren't going to be 100% skin tight, so we're gonna, it's a bit tighter here, so it goes, but then it sort of comes out a little, and it really sort of starts to bubble up right there. So we'll just throw in some like lines there. There's his chest, sort of. He's got a very pretty defined chest because he's got like a tighter shirt on. Quite a, he's got big like muscles. He's got like a well-defined bicep. A lot of the lighting is doing work here. Lighting is very important whenever you're doing these sorts of things. Comes out right there. So just a little bit of a negative space right there. And then, of course, he has this little V neck right here. What I like about this character in this film is that he's like a little like reserved, you know, and I thought he was like quite a joy to watch, and sort of something ends up happening with him that causes him to sort of have a personality change, and to me that was just very, very interesting. I was like, I haven't really seen this in a movie before, let alone an Alien movie, so I kind of really enjoyed that aspect of his character. Shoulder is more in line right there. Bring it up a little bit. And it gets a bit dark down here. We'll go ahead and we'll draw a line through the frame, like right there, because we don't gotta do all that, you know. One thing that we could do here that'll be very interesting is we can play around a bit with sort of like lost edges. We'll see how I'm feeling during the inking phase, but I don't think, I know his arm is bent a little over here, but like I don't really feel like doing all that. His arm will be like face down. We'll still have a little core shadow here. like that. I guess his body would sort of come down right here. Hey, and got background elements. We're keeping it light. We're keeping it loose. I don't wanna. I don't wanna overwork this. You know. So yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll probably go ahead and roll up our kneaded eraser. Go ahead and we'll lighten it up. We'll lighten the sketch up a little bit. Get a little light. And my pen of choice today, I think, is going to be, we're going to be working with the Sailor Fude de Manin. Fude de Manin. This is going to have let us get a little bit of line variety. It's going to let us get some thick lines. It's going to let us get some thin lines. A variety of the like. Move it around a little. I think I ended up not getting. I'm gonna give him a trap here. I let it curve out a little bit. I didn't give him enough of a trapezius. That'll let him lift some stuff up. Okay. We're gonna be doing some inking. We're not gonna not too fancy. Probably give his eyes a little bit more rendering here. Right now I'm really kind of just like messing around with sort of like how do you draw the eyes? Do we make them thicker? It's like, I don't know. Probably gonna be a bit darker on his top lip because, you know, shadow is coming down. Same thing with like the bottom of his lip. Probably go ahead and just do a little bit of hatching to show that. Now, here's one thing that I think I probably did here. I think I probably did. I definitely did do it. Like, I made his face a bit too narrow. I do have a tendency to draw heads a little bit too narrow, and that is completely my bad. I don't try to. You know, it just happens. Something I'm like trying to work on, especially like I'm like always like trying to like freshen up on my like Loomis heading. So it's like I definitely I'm not trying to draw heads thin. It's just sometimes I just get so like myopic with like the way I'm looking at things, and I just like end up defaulting to sort of what's comfortable, which is like not the best thing to do as an artist, obviously. Maybe the table there. I'm gonna dark out his pupils. I think that'll help a bit. So he has a bit like he has some like shorter, coarser hair. So I'm trying to show that without like doing like thick lines. There's probably ways to do this better, but this is kind of how I always done it. Trying to give it some like texture, you know. Yeah, the eyes definitely aren't perfect, but you know that's just something that we're gonna have to live with. Here really come out right there, but then it sort of kind of come back into the neck. So we're gonna come over to the hand next. Yeah, the hand's not gonna be perfect. I was just doing random lines for the folds in the clothes. sort of bunching up right here because he has his arm bent in a crook. So it's like definitely like quite a bit up there. Definitely not where those lines of the buns are supposed to be. They're supposed to be a bit more like out here. That's all right. Yeah, we'll just like lightly sort of do these lines in the back, mainly because they're not important. And this isn't. We're not drawing backgrounds. We're drawing sort of characters. My line trajectories are like so off, though, which is kind of funny. That's a character, all right. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna switch pens just so I can do this like core shadow thing, which I think is probably gonna help a bit with defining like the form. So remember how earlier we were talking about like core shadows are sort of they're that terminating shadow. It's kind of what we're gonna do here. And sort of see it comes down here. And it comes back down. This is sort of like following like a very like a Loomis head. This is following a Loomis head sort of. I don't know what you call it, facial structure, you know? Like if you were to look at a Loomis head, you would see these like lines like go in here. And sort of doing that there. And the same thing like here. It's definitely like a lot of like we could do a lot of different things around here. We could sort of we got a terminating line right here, so not perfect. Maybe I could have done it a bit like lighter on the face. You know what I'm saying? Not perfect on the eyes. If I were to go back and change more of this, I would like definitely like, do a bit more on like the eyes. You know what I'm saying? Also, probably we could always like go through and like add like a lot of like rendering marks for like the rest of him, you know, which we could do. But it's like, yeah, it's like, do you really want to? Do you want to over render? Probably not. Do a bit more there. I don't want to like darken his eyes too much. I'm gonna make him look like he's like sick, where he has like eye like eyeshadow on or something. You could probably go ahead and like for like your darks, you know, we got our Terminating Shadow, and like we could go ahead and just, again, like we're sketching, we're playing around with sort of like things that work, things that don't work. Yeah, if I were to like go back and like change it, I would definitely like work on his face a bit more. And if we were like going from like a work, if we were going from like a work flow, this would probably be like my preliminary sketch, and I would probably try and do the same thing but like a bit more refined. You know, this would be like my initial sketch. And if I were doing a digital light, I would take the sketch and I would bring it in and I would sort of rework it a bit digitally and like tweak some things. There you go. That's like, you know, right there. Definitely like the head could have been a little bit more squashed. Well, for the next one, we'll do like a little bit more of a Loomis head thing, but you know what? I'm happy with that. I'm gonna go, and this is a good time to say like I need to go and pee. So I'm gonna go ahead and pee. Take a, if you're watching, go ahead and take a little bit of a break. You know, stretch a little, get up and get some water, so on and so forth. We'll be back in just a moment. Hello, I'm back. Uh, hello. Hello, Bubney. Bubney. You get to see this awful drawing that I made. Sorry. We'll do better on the next one. Well, I'm looking at it again. It's the head. The heads. I make heads too tall. That's my fault. That's definitely my fault. We'll do better than this. Oh, yeah, this is Alien Romulus. My significant other was just showing me this woman that has a monthly print subscription club, and she charges for it's a monthly subscription, and it's a surprise when you get it, but she makes these little prints that she prints at home on her printer. And oh, you like it? Oh, thanks. Yeah, don't lie. No lying in the chat. We're not allowed to lie in the chat. But yeah, she does these like monthly prints for $7, and you sort of, once you sign up, you get a mail to you every month. And so my significant other my partner was saying that I should do something similar. I probably wouldn't do monthly. I would probably do quarterly, and I don't know if I'd charge $7, maybe like $5. We'd see, but I'd probably include like 3 different prints to make up for it not being monthly. You know what I mean? We would have to we'd have to see how that goes. I think that could be a lot of fun. Of course, we're not doing it quite yet, but if you'd ever be interested in something like that, let me know. Also, Avengers Age of Ultron was one of the films that popped up here. I'm sorry, I'm not doing Age of Ultron. Of the Avengers movies, that is like my least favorite one. The Greasy Strangler. We're looking through films right now. Halloween? This is the Rob Zombie Halloween. I don't care for this movie. Sorry. Hanabi? Is that a Korean film? Pineapple Express? James Franco is kind of a creep. We're not gonna do Pineapple Express. Hitman? Don't know. I Am Not a Serial Killer. That sounds like a fun movie. The Midnight Sky. Don't know what that is. Also, 1 hour 52 minutes of streaming. I know I said I'd do an hour and a half. I lied. Ready or Not. Haven't seen it. I know what it is. Peeping Tom. Haven't seen this movie. Tale of Tales. Never seen it. Oh, Lucky Man. I've never heard of this movie in my entire life. 7 Stages to Achieve Eternal Bliss. Never heard of it. Journeyman. Never heard of it. Parasite. I know Parasite. This is a good movie. Okay, we're gonna find a screenshot from Parasite. There's like a lot of people looking like miserable. So we have options to do like scenes that like have a bit more. I think I have it. I think I have it. I'm not gonna spoil this movie because it's a very good movie. I think you should just go and watch Parasite on your own time whenever you have a chance. But Parasite is one of my favorite movies of all time. I've probably seen it like 7, 8, 9 times. I've seen it quite a few times. Yeah, this is a bit more portrait friendly, I think. We're gonna be able to see. We're gonna be able to plan this out a little bit better. We'll draw it. We'll make this our like bottom of the frame. Make this our like top of the frame. I don't want to use the entire thing. So yeah, we're gonna start with, of course, we're gonna block out. We're gonna be doing head is roughly right there. Then we got shoulders that are like right here-ish. So what's interesting about like uh this portrait here is that he's like looking down. So some shapes are going to be a little bit odd. They're going to be a little bit weird, but we're gonna work with it. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. So I don't do this like a stupid idiot. We're gonna Loomis method. We're gonna Loomis method it. So that's gonna be our hairline. And that's gonna be, this here is gonna be our what is it? Our bottom. So once we have our hairline, you split it into thirds from here. So it's looking at it pretty head on. Head is slightly tilted like that right there. And then we're gonna split it into thirds. Right? Because it would be hairline. I need to move that up a little bit. When we're doing with Loomis method, we're doing hairline, brow line, should be like right there, right? And then nose line, which would be that right there. Correct. And so his hairline's a bit obfuscated right here, obviously, but that's okay. Because our brow line's like right here, his eyes are a bit wide, so it's like his eyebrows are gonna like be up a little bit. We're gonna sort of shapen out his head a little bit. He's got this headdress on, so it's gonna come over here. Why is he wearing this Native American headdress? You would have to watch the movie to find out. It's kind of screwed up what happens in this movie. I do love it. It's such a good movie. I'm gonna sort of draw on our eye holes. I know I said that was the middle, but this is more of the middle right here. Mouth is gonna be like generally right there. We're gonna do like that right there. He's sort of like looking on. We've been horror and shock, so on and so forth. And he's like an older guy. His features are going to be a bit more rugged. So we're gonna add a lot of like wrinkles and folds here. I don't know how these like little pieces of hair keep on getting all up in my business, but they do. I like how like some people like this, they have like little caterpillar eyebrows. I quite like those. I like those quite a lot. I think caterpillar eyebrows are like really cool, really fun. He's got these like feathers up here. So if we look at his neck sort of originates right here-ish. And this over here. It originates kind of from the corner of his eye. I look at the eyes a lot for like trying to figure out where the neck is, you know what I mean? Then we go from there. I'm thinking because he is like an older gentleman, we'll probably fill in the top lip, like the lips a little bit. We want to sort of like show that he's a bit more rugged, so you know, he's gonna have a bit more going on with like sort of like facial, like I don't know if you would call it like greebling or whatever, but he's gonna have a bit more going on there. I don't know what this thing is he has on his head, but it is this like cool spherical thing. So we'll incorporate that a little bit. It's got this sort of thing of beads coming on right here, like that. These puffy tails, sort of. You see his ears are sort of like up here. So there's a lot of ways that you can sort of show age whenever you're dealing with older people. I like the idea of using like their facial structure as like a significant teller of their age. You know what I mean? I think that should be like the proper way to do it. So you can use sort of, you can show square jaws, you can show facial features that sort of sag as like time moves on, you know what I mean? Yeah, these things, whatever they are, these tassels come down very far. And it's almost like they're like corkscrewing. At least this one is. I'll show that like that right there. Okay. I'll show off he has a little bit of like a collar right here. You like caterpillar eyebrows too? Yeah, I was I like when like whenever I see people draw, sort of they got like they got their uh eyes are sort of like that. There you got your eyes like that. I love eyebrows that are like just like these little dots right here. You can sort of you can do a lot with that. It's like I definitely like it when people like have eyebrows like that, or people draw eyebrows like that. I don't want to overly render. Also here, a lot of it's dark too, so it's like we're gonna be doing a lot of like mixing into here. I want to keep this sort of shape going right there, like that like circular shape. We're doing that there. Okay. We're gonna go and do a little cheeky little inking. We're gonna start with I think we're gonna start with the eyes because I think that's where I like didn't do good last time, and I'm already getting ahead of myself. I'm gonna roll up this right here. We're gonna lighten this up a little bit. We're gonna use it as a guideline. So I think this is good, even though I'm not like doing this like perfectly. I think this is really good practice for sort of like drawing more, because in the past I have drawn like a lot of just faces. So it's like it feels good to extend more into like posing and stuff with this, which is why I'm having a good time doing all this. Actually, I'm gonna start with the eyes. I'm gonna start with the face here, or the edge of this dude's. Start with that right there. Then we're gonna move, because I don't want it to be too thick. We don't want it to be too distracting, and same thing for that right there. Okay, now we're gonna move into doing the eyes. I want to make sure on the same line. Sometimes it's hard for me to do that, keep them on the same line. A little bug flying around over here. That's good enough right there. Don't want to overdo it. Go ahead and add some hatching there. A little bit of hatching here. I'm gonna go in. We're gonna do his little caterpillar eyebrows. Thanks, Guy. This guy's like a very well-known Korean actor. I don't know his name. I'm sorry, but you'll see him in quite a few Korean, South Korean films and such. Like you see him pop up like literally everywhere. He's in he's in a lot of Bong Joon-ho's films. He's like in Memories of Murder. He's in The Host. He's in a lot of these movies. Do the core shadow there as it comes into the chin. Do that right there. We'll do another core shadow for the nose right there. Sort of have it come up there. like that. Perfect. I'm gonna show, I'm kind of exaggerating a bit to show that he has like an open mouth. So I know his mouth is a bit closed in there, right there, but like I'm kind of trying to exaggerate that a little. He does have that right there, but he's also got a little bit of like stubble underneath there. I'm gonna show that. With that right there. Like that, you know? A little bit of that right there. Sort of. There's not like a hard edge here, so I'm not really gonna try and do that. I'm gonna try this though. We're gonna bring that around because he's got a little hat on. We're gonna do a little bit of magic here. We're gonna push the we're pushing the foreshortening on this a little, on this little bit right here. Or not the foreshortening, the perspective a little, sort of tapering it a little. Keeping it feathery because this is like soft. I'm keeping it like feathery, you know. I'm keeping it light. Like that right there. I'm sort of coming down with like a at an angle, so the brush strokes, or I guess the pen strokes, will be a little what's the word, tapered, darker on the bottom, lighter on the top. Sort of get a bit lighter as it goes down, maybe there's a bit more like that. Pretty good, pretty good. There's little like pearl looking things in there. Well, we'll do a little bit of greebling there to show the illusion of detail. Darken up the nostrils a little. We'll move into here with this feather. It's sort of like tied into a thing right there. Don't want to overdo it, overcomplicate it. Of course, this feather is going to be pretty dark, all things considered. So we'll just go through. We'll darken up with some scribblage. Scribble dibble, dibble dabble. I'm gonna have this right here. There's another feather that feels like somewhat similar here. I'll just go ahead and we'll give us a nice silhouette for that right there. I'm feeling a bit better now. I'm feeling a bit more deliberate with like my strokes and everything. It's like the last sketch drawing, whatever you want to call it, was more of a warm up, you know? Keep it that. We don't need to be too crazy detailed right there. So here's the fun part. A lot of these are very dark, so we don't have to do a lot of detail with them. I'm gonna keep this sort of swooping shape going up here. That right there. We'll darken up once we do more of this right here. We'll darken up sort of like the silhouette of it all. And we know that this is like furish. Something else that's happened in the past week. Gorillaz has put out a new single called "The Manifesto," and I think it's a very good song. It's a long song. What I love most about the song is that it starts, and then it's one song, and then it seems like it's gonna end, and then it just keeps on going on, and I love that. Here's the thing with these is they sort of turn away the other way, but they also have this little ribbon. I'm not gonna keep. We're gonna be doing a bit of like lost edges here, but we're gonna be keeping this band to show how it's like facing away from us, right? He does have a little bit of hair right here. I find. I find. This one originates more from right here. I got that wrong on my sketch, but we can correct for that. This feather is more of like a, it comes more to a point, say, kind of like that right there, you know? Like that right there. Yeah, then we'll just go. We'll probably go on with this this pencil, or this pen, I should say. We'll go ahead and block in all of our lights and darks. And of course, this pen has superb ink flow, comparatively. We're going to be pretty rough with it. Ink, I find, tolerates like a little bit of like roughness, you know what I mean? Tolerates you giving a little bit of texture. These feathers have a bit of dark in them. Similar to these ones. This one definitely does. It's a bit darker. I get it in the perfect spot. That's all right. Yawn. Yawns. Does a big old cheeky yawn. Alright. I think that's fun. I think that's fun. Not only fun, but fun and done. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna ink wash this just to show that it's a bit more. It's dark, I guess, but I really don't feel like inking this entire thing with black ink, so this is all we get here. All right. And then that's that one right there. I think I'm pretty happy with this one compared to the last one at the very least. You know what I mean? All right. Well, I think that is a good and natural stopping point for tonight's stream. I feel like I'm about to smudge some stuff, but well, whatever, man. As long as the face. You see, like, I don't know how I smudged the eye here, considering that should have been like well dry by now, but you know, it is what it is. But okay, yeah, I think we're gonna call that one, call this here. I'm gonna bring that in a little bit more, like down a little bit. All right, I guess I should probably label this one so we can know in the future from what it's from. Very well. Okay. Well, that's the drawing. Them's the drawings, son. Oh, pardon me while I like absolutely overwork everything with this drawing. You know what I'm saying? Well, you know how I am. I don't really know how to end these things. I guess we can end it by cleaning up my station a little bit. Ugh! I dropped my little Sam Porter Bridges Nendoroid. Yikes. Yikes. Okay. I'm gonna point the camera back up on myself. We're gonna, so I can look like a real person, like a real guy doing this. Here's my workspace. And here's my face space. Have that light pointing there. It has gotten dark where I live now. The sun is setting. Or has set. Will set. Alright, well, we're calling that stream there. I had a really good time today. I hope that you all did too. I hope you're able to relax. Maybe draw a little. Next stream, I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm going to have my current sketchbook finished by the time the next stream rolls around, so we'll probably do an anatomy stream. We're gonna start getting into anatomy streams in the foreseeable future for the next few streams, probably, because I did purchase, I showed this off last stream, but I guess we'll show off again. I did purchase Bridgman's Constructive Anatomy, so we're gonna be doing some anatomy studies. So I'll probably next few streams, I will be relaying like literally everything that I'm learning about anatomy, just for like my sake, because you know, like teaching helps you remember things better. So I think we're going to be doing that. So buckle up if you're ready for some anatomy studies. Please stick around for those. And if you wanna just sort of see what I'm working on in the meantime, please go check out the Discord, or not even just see what I'm working on, see what other people are working on, trying to build an artist community. So if you're looking for help, if you're looking for criticism, or if you're just looking to show off the art that you've been working on, please go ahead and head over to the Discord. I'm gonna put that in the description of this stream. Yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. I hope that you have a fantastic night. I hope you get a good night's sleep, and I hope that you're drinking plenty of water, because I'm definitely not. do not do what I'm doing. So don't not do what I'm doing. Don't not do what I'm doing. Okay, yeah. Well, it's been a lovely stream, everybody. We will catch you in the next one. Au revoir. Bye-bye.